what MicroStrategy is doing, it makes a lot of sense from a math standpoint. If I can sell essentially future equity at a higher price than my stock trades at today, which is really what the convertible debt is, sometimes at a 55% premium, and I can buy Bitcoin today with that money, well, that sounds like a pretty good deal, right? It's because what you're basically doing is you're saying, hey, I'm going to invest in your company at $10, but I'm not going to actually get the equity at $10. I'm going to get it at 15+% dollars a share. Well, why would I not do that? I should do that all day long, right? It's no different than Warren Buffett or anybody else saying, hey, if my stock's overvalued, I issue more shares. If my stock's undervalued, I buy back my shares. This is just a unique way of doing it. And it's a different use of the proceeds, right? So I think that's first of all. Now, the counterweight to that is there's a hell of a lot of people I see saying nothing can go wrong. I'm not in that camp. I couldn't sit here and tell you what can go wrong, but what I can tell you is that an alarm goes off in my head when I start seeing everyone saying nothing can go wrong. And so that's the hard part of the analysis, is that a lot of really smart people that I talk with, they say, listen, I get why it's going up. I get why Saylor's doing what he's doing. All of that makes sense. It's very rational, both in terms of why people are buying it, why people are buying the bonds, and why he's buying Bitcoin. So you kind of like check all those boxes. The irrational thing is the blind belief that there is no risk. And so a lot of really smart investors that I've been talking with are saying, similar to me, the unknown is actually what scares me. We've never seen this before. We don't know what all the risks are. And it's okay at times to say, I think that there's always risk to anything. I can't figure out what the risk is today, but that doesn't mean sit it out completely or put all your money in completely. Maybe actually the way to quote unquote risk mitigate an unknown is some people will get a little bit of exposure, but they will also de-risk by not putting 100% of their money in, right? And so it becomes this very interesting dynamic of, I think the reason why MicroStrategy is getting so much attention in the media is because the price is going up so much, naturally. The reason why MicroStrategy is getting so much conversation in private or behind closed doors is because this is the ultimate intellectual exercise. Who can identify the unknown risk? And I've got a couple friends who have certain theories and stuff like that. Frankly, a lot of the theories that I've heard, I actually think that they're misplaced, which makes it even more, kind of not so much confusing, but like interesting, is that people say, oh, well, there's a premium. And when the premium collapses, people could lose money. Maybe it's a premium. I actually think it's more so that people are assigning a valuation multiple to this quote unquote like balance sheet revenue, which can't really get counted as true revenue, but it is this accretive thing based on the way that they're fundraising, which again is very clever. And so you got to kind of tip your hat and say, I've never seen anyone figure this out before. And so that's interesting. But if you go and you ask someone, what are the risks? And they tell you 0, I always think to myself, it can't be 0. Because I can tell you really extreme risks is if the United States banned Bitcoin. Do you think MicroStrategy stock would crater? Probably. I don't think that's going to happen. Right? But that would be like a super extreme thing. So you're like, okay, at least we now have all common ground identified that there is a potential risk that we could identify, even if we think the odds of it are 0.00001%. Okay. What else? And this is the exercise that I think a lot of really smart investors are going through. But the part that is so fascinating is that, again, I talked to a lot of, some of these run very large, macro hedge funds. Some people are inside the Bitcoin community. Also, nobody has been able to raise their hand and say with a high degree of confidence, I found the risk. And so you got to ask yourself, could there be such, low risk that this really is a new thing that we're all underestimating? Maybe. But I think that's where the market is trying to figure this out. Is it simply so easy where you just sell your stock at a premium, you buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin goes up, you sell your stock at a premium, you buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin goes up, right? Like, that's pretty interesting if that is what could happen.